Hi everyone, it's Eliana and I have another card to share with you today. I always never have a get well card, so this time I decided to make several of them at one time so I would always have one on hand. I'm using this adorable little stamp set from Mama Elephant called Little Emotions, and I'm picking out all of the little emojis that have the that look sick or crying or anything like that. And so I found five. I liked five because it's an odd number, and you know that odd is better. I'm just marking where the center of my card is, and then I'm using the actual panel that the stamps sit on just to help me line up the spacing because there are five of them on there. And so I'm just going to put them in a order that I like, and I'm just going to use that as a guide for my spacing. I did make a little tip mark at the bottom so that I knew where the center emoji needed to be. And once I have them pretty much in place, I'm just going to close the lid of the MISTI and pick them up. And just to double check, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stamp on a scratch piece of paper and just make sure that they're all lined up. And if I need to make any adjustments, I'll be able to tell how to adjust them. And it just so happened that all of these lined up on a line. And so that one little guy, the very first one, is a little bit off. And so I'm just stamping it again to see where he comes back. And once everything is said and done, I'm going to go ahead and put my card front back into the front of the MISTI. And I'm just stamping it with Memento ink because I will be doing some coloring. And I'm just showing you one card, but I did make several of these just to have on hand. And those are the colors that I'm going to be using. And I'm just doing simple Copic coloring. There's nothing really that fancy about it. I'm just coloring them in and then just adding a little bit of shading to them with the subsequent colors. I'm just doing a couple at a time because I find that it's a lot easier to blend when the ink is still wet, and if you color the entire image or the entire card, by the time you get back to the beginning, the first one's already dry. And so by just doing a couple at a time, it allows me to have a little bit of the Copic color to still be wet. I hope that makes sense. And when I'm done, of course, I have to go back and I have to do my overstamping with my black onyx ink. I'm just prepping my card with my embossing buddy or my embossing powder, whatever you want to call that thing. And I do find it ironic that when I don't really need it, I remember to use it, but when I do really need it, I forget to use it. And now that my black onyx ink is on, I can use my clear embossing powder to create some dimension on my little emojis. And once that's done, I need to get my sentiment ready. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use another Mama Elephant stamp set, and this one is called Labeled Messages. And I am just going to stamp it on some white cardstock, just a scrap piece. And because this is a solid stamp, I always end up having to do several coats just to make sure that it's good and black. And you want to make sure that that cardstock is tucked into the corner because it is sticky ink and it's probably going to stick to your lid. I don't always use the magnets. So long as the paper is tucked into the corner, they're just nice to have, but it's not necessary. You just have to make sure your paper's tucked into the corner each time, and it'll work perfectly fine. And now I just put my clear embossing powder, and I'm just using my heat gun to melt the powder. And I'm just going to trim around the edge, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a white border around it. Now I have adhered my card front to some black cardstock, and it's trimmed down just enough so that you see a little bit of the yellow cardstock below. And now I'm going to adhere my sentiment, and I'm just going to use some clear tack foam. And this stuff's pretty cool, but it is rather stretchy. And to make sure that it's straight, I'm just going to use my little grid transparency to make sure that it's on there straight. And once it's there, I will press it down. And now I'm going to add some sequins. And I did spend lots of time trying to figure out where to put these sequins. And then finally, I decided, and I did them exactly the same on all of them because this is something that I struggle with on placing the sequins. And most of the time I see other people do it and they just kind of throw it on there and it looks so good. But that's not something that I'm blessed with, and so I will continue to give it a try. And one day I'll be as good as them. And so there you go. There is a pretty cute Get Well card, and you can pretty much do the same thing with other sentiments. You could just change the little emojis and maybe do a happy one for like a congratulations, or a fun one for just thinking of you. Be sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for further videos, as well as head on over to the blog. Thanks so much for watching.